weather brings buckets of snow and ice, it can quickly build up between the moving rails on a switch track. This means that when the switch motor goes to move the rails, they won't be put in the proper position. This can result in what's called a split switch, or the switch not moving altogether. Thankfully, with today's technology, the computer in the switch track can sense when something's wrong and will notify dispatch. However, it can take hours for a crew to unstick a frozen switch, especially one that's way out in the boonies, which means that rail traffic will come to a complete standstill until the frozen switch is fixed. This is where switch heaters save the day. They can keep remote switches warm, snow and ice free, and unseized. But what exactly is a switch heater, and how does it work? In today's video, we're going to cover all three types of switch heaters, and how they work. But first, let's start with how they're turned on in the first place. Most heaters are turned on manually by dispatch, which can be done with a simple press of a button. But others have fancy snow sensors on them that'll activate the heater automatically when too much snow or ice is built up, and deactivate the heater once the snow is gone. There's three types of switch heaters: gas, electric, and pneumatic. All three of them work differently, but do the same job. Let's go over gas switch heaters first. With gallons upon gallons of propane at their disposal, these machines can keep the rails warm for days on end. However, the only downside is that most of them have a finite fuel source. But some are hooked up to underground natural gas lines, providing practically unlimited fuel. Propane switch heaters not hooked up to natural gas lines are easily identifiable, because there will be one or two propane tanks near the tracks. The way gas heaters work is pretty basic. There's a row of nozzles pointed towards the rails that usually sit under a metal shield. When either dispatch or a snow sensor gives the go-ahead, the burners come to life. They're basically low-powered blowtorches. They can't burn too hot, because that would risk overheating the rails. If that happened, they could collapse under a train's weight. But that's not to say these things ain't powerful, because the rails are heated to a few hundred degrees, and snow up to 1.5 feet away will be melted from radiant heat. Electric heaters are basically an oversized electric stove. You know you're looking at one of these heaters when you see an electrical box sitting by the switch. These heaters are probably the safest of the three, but arguably the most complex because of all their circuitry. Attached to the rails are induction coils, and inside is an electrical box with a big old transformer. When an electric switch heater is activated, a high-frequency AC current flows through the induction coils, creating a rapidly alternating magnetic field. The metal rails, however, strongly resist this current, which creates heat. What's super cool about induction heaters is that their temperature can be controlled very precisely, and the heat they produce is extremely localized. If you were to touch the rails just a couple feet away from the induction coils, they would still be ice cold. Just like the gas switch heater, electric induction heaters can be very powerful enough to turn steel white hot. But since these heaters offer a lot more control and have modern day safety sensors, there's not a huge risk of overheating the rails. Blower heaters are probably the most convoluted in terms of operation. Next to the switch is a big air blower, which forces air through a duct, and then through a combustion chamber. Usually it's a gas or oil flame that provides heat, but electric coils can also be used. After the air has been heated, it travels through a series of tubes and nozzles that are pointed at the rail. The added advantage of blower heaters is that they dry the rails after the snow and ice is melted. Blower heaters are also a lot more tame in the way they heat the rails. Sure, they'll get them hot, but not as hot as an electric or gas heater. Since air is a poor insulator, and therefore doesn't hold heat well, it's common to have lots of shielding and insulation around a blower heater's ducts and nozzles. It takes an army to keep railroads operating 24/7, 365, and switch heaters, whether they be gas, electric, or pneumatic, are just one of the many tools a railroad uses to keep their trains running smoothly. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and I hope y'all learned something. That's all from me for now. Thanks for watching. If y'all enjoyed this video, consider checking out some other ones of mine. Till next time.